The moment you begin explaining yourself, something invisible shifts in the room. It's subtle, almost imperceptible, but it's real. The balance of power tilts, not because your explanation is wrong, but because the act of explaining itself signals something deeper. You don't notice it happening. Most people never do. They think they are being clear, reasonable, mature. They believe words will fix perception. But perception doesn't work that way. It never has. From childhood, you were trained to explain. Teachers asked you to justify answers. Parents demanded reasons. Society rewarded those who could articulate themselves politely and punished those who stayed silent. Over time, explanation became associated with virtue. Just explain yourself, they said. People will understand. And sometimes they do. But understanding is not the same as respect. Understanding is not power. And in many environments, understanding is irrelevant. Power operates on signals, not logic. Humans are not rational creatures first. They are emotional and hierarchical first. Before anyone processes your words, their subconscious has already made a judgment about your status. Are you confident? Are you secure? Are you above needing approval, or are you trying to earn it? Explaining yourself answers that question instantly, and not in your favor. When you explain, you are responding to an accusation, whether spoken or implied. You are acknowledging that someone else has the authority to question you. You may not intend to grant them that authority, but authority is not granted by intention. It is granted by behavior. The moment you step into defense mode, you accept the frame that you are being evaluated, and the one who evaluates holds power over the one being evaluated. This is why the strongest people rarely explain themselves, not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand the cost of saying it. They know that every explanation is a form of negotiation, and negotiation only happens between unequal positions when one side feels the need to justify. The truly powerful do not rush to correct perceptions. They let perceptions reveal more about the observer than about themselves. Think back to a moment when someone questioned you publicly. Maybe it was a colleague in a meeting, a friend in a group, or a stranger online. You felt the pressure immediately, the urge to clarify, to set the record straight, to make sure you weren't misunderstood. And so you spoke. You added context. You explained motives. You listed reasons. You thought you were strengthening your position. But watch what usually happens next. The questioning doesn't stop. It escalates. New doubts appear. More details are demanded. The explanation becomes a hole you keep digging, not realizing that every sentence is placing you deeper inside a frame you didn't choose. This is because explanations invite scrutiny. They open doors. The more you explain, the more material you provide for others to dissect, reinterpret, or weaponize. Silence, on the other hand, closes doors. Silence creates uncertainty, and uncertainty makes people cautious. When people are cautious, they give space. Space is power. There is a reason high-status individuals respond to accusations with minimal words or none at all. It is not arrogance. It is strategy. They understand that clarity does not come from defending yourself. It comes from consistency over time. One calm action outweighs 1,000 emotional explanations. One steady pattern of behavior rewrites narratives far more effectively than any verbal defense. People who explain too much are often honest, well-intentioned, and intelligent. That's what makes this lesson uncomfortable. It feels unfair. You're not explaining because you're guilty. You're explaining because you care. But power dynamics don't care about your intentions. They only respond to signals. And caring, when expressed through explanation, often reads as insecurity, even when it isn't. The dangerous part is that once you start explaining, you train people to expect it. They learn that if they push, you will respond. If they question, you will justify. This creates a pattern where your boundaries become negotiable. Over time, people feel entitled to your reasons, your energy, your emotional labor. You become transparent in a world that rewards opacity. Look at how children test limits. They don't need logic. They apply pressure and observe reactions. Adults do the same, just with more sophisticated language. When someone challenges you and you immediately explain, they learn something about you. They learn that pressure works. They learn that you can be moved, and they will remember that. Silence disrupts this process. Silence forces the other person to sit with their own assumptions. It denies them the satisfaction of control. When you don't explain, you don't collapse the tension. You let it exist, and most people are deeply uncomfortable with and are. Silence becomes powerful only when it is intentional. Random silence looks like confusion. Chosen silence looks like control. This distinction is everything. Most people fail here because they stay silent out of fear, not strategy. Fearful silence leaks weakness through body language, tone, and timing. Strategic silence does the opposite. It feels grounded, it feels settled, it feels final. When you stop explaining yourself, the first thing you'll notice is resistance. People are accustomed to access. They are used to you filling gaps, smoothing discomfort, making things easy for them. Silence removes that comfort. It forces them to confront uncertainty, and uncertainty threatens perceived control. This is why silence often triggers emotional reactions in others. Anger, sarcasm, mockery, passive aggression. These are not signs of your failure. They are signs of withdrawal. In professional environments, explaining yourself is often disguised as being professional. You're told to be transparent, collaborative, open. But observe carefully who benefits from that openness. It is rarely the person explaining. Meetings are full of subtle power tests. Someone questions your decision in front of others. If you rush to explain, you are no longer leading the conversation. You are defending your role in it. The room feels it instantly. A calm pause does more than a perfect explanation. A measured look, a simple statement, or nothing at all. Silence reframes the interaction. It communicates that the challenge did not destabilize you, that you are not scrambling to protect your position. Most challenges are not about information. They are about dominance. Responding with excessive detail feeds the wrong hunger. In social groups, explaining yourself often comes from the desire to be liked. You don't want to be misunderstood. You don't want tension. You don't want someone thinking badly of you. But likability is fragile. It rises and falls with mood and context. Respect is heavier. It lasts longer. Respect grows when people sense that your identity is not negotiable. Notice how gossip operates. Someone says something about you that's inaccurate. Your instinct is to correct it, to defend your name, to make sure the truth is known. But gossip thrives on reaction. The more energy you give it, the more oxygen it gets. Silence suffocates it. Over time, people learn that gossiping about you leads nowhere, no drama, no payoff. And so it moves on. Online, this dynamic becomes brutal. Comments, accusations, assumptions. The internet rewards reaction. Explaining yourself publicly rarely clears your name. It anchors you to the accusation forever. Screenshots, quotes, out-of-context fragments. Silence denies permanence. It lets time do what explanations cannot. Erase relevance. This doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect endlessly. Silence is not submission. It is delay. It is control of timing. When action is needed, it is decisive and minimal. Not emotional, not verbose, just enough to establish boundaries. Then silence returns. The deeper reason silence works is psychological. Humans seek closure. When they don't get it, they fill the gap themselves. And what they fill it with depends on how you carry yourself. If your silence is steady, people assume strength. If it is shaky, they assume weakness. This is why internal alignment matters. Silence amplifies who you already are. Explaining yourself also fragments your identity. You become different versions of yourself for different audiences. One explanation here, another there. Over time, you start tracking who knows what version. This creates anxiety. Silence simplifies identity. One version. Consistent, stable. People adjust to you instead of you adjusting to them. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you don't need to convince anyone of who you are. That confidence changes posture, tone, pace. It changes how people speak to you. Conversations shorten, challenges soften, requests become more respectful. Not because you demanded it, but because you stopped chasing validation. Many people worry that silence will make them invisible. The opposite happens. You become more noticeable. In a world of constant noise, restraint stands out. When everyone is explaining, justifying, oversharing, the one who speaks less commands attention when they finally do speak. Words gain weight through scarcity. This applies deeply in conflict. When emotions run high, explanations become weapons against you. Every word can be twisted. Silence protects clarity. It prevents regret. It gives you time to see the situation as it truly is, not as it feels in the moment. Time is a strategic advantage most people give away too quickly. Silence also reveals character in others. Some will respect it, some will exploit it, some will panic. This information is invaluable. You learn who needs control, who needs attention, and who respects autonomy. Explaining yourself too quickly robs you.